The female lead tells women's stories. Remarkable, diverse, inspiring. An educational charity promoting positive female role models who show the many different routes to success and fulfillment.
So often I hear people saying, oh, how do I get started? How do I do this? How do you do it? You just start. You have to begin. And it won't be perfect and it'll be messy and it'll be hard, but you're doing something and you're on your way.
Empowering future generations of women through films and a book of 60 women donated to 18,000 schools in the UK and USA, reaching millions of young people. And through our female lead societies, we help girls to discover new role models that speak to their passions, ambitions and careers. Through our research into social media and mental health, we found a solution to the negative impact of social media on teen girls. Through a simple intervention which encouraged girls to follow different influencers, we were able to change their entire social media experience and sense of well-being. We called this campaign Disrupt Your Feed, and it reached 20 million people on social, with 330 million impressions all over the globe. So what's next? As well as inspiring girls, we're now finding ways to measurably improve the lives of older women through data, research, and the stories of those who have overcome challenges and found their own personal versions of success. We're a long way from being finished. Join us in our mission.
Are we going to talk about women's rights again? Yes, we're going to talk about it until there's balance.
Hello everyone, welcome to our next Female Lead Live, and today we are going to be talking about how to take the stage, which I think in the back of everyone's mind is one of the most terrifying things that we do at work. So to have that conversation, to learn lots of tips and skills, we have the fabulous Lauren Sweeney with us today. Hi, Lauren. I'm going to say a few words about you, and then I'm going to ask some questions. I also want to welcome everybody who's signing in from all over the world. Please don't forget to send us your questions. This is very much a film of two halves, because you have me in a very dark, cold, wet London, and we'll have Lauren in what I hear is a beautiful, sunny California. So, yeah, we have to cope with that one. I'm Edwina Dunn. I'm founder of The Female Lead. It's a charity which showcases amazing, diverse women shaping the world today. This is a talk, our third talk from the fabulous team at Rise Up For You. Lauren Sweeney is a trainer and confidence coach. She's also an activator, a creative thinker. She can help on leadership, collaboration, has advanced coaching certifications, and a Bachelor of Science in community and regional development. So she's also a trainer of trainers for the Californian Association of Student Councils. So she teaches the trainers. It's really important, this. And she thrives on mentoring and answering, asking questions and actively listening. So I think we're going to hear some of that. So the kind of things that we're going to talk about is the what, why, and how of giving a talk. You know, what do you talk about? Why? How? We're going to talk about posture, voice pitch, speaking aesthetics, delivery styles, and how you evaluate and select the most appropriate style. So I think we are all going to learn something from this talk today. Welcome, Lauren.
Thank you, Edwina. So glad to be here today.
We're very glad to have you, Lauren. And I get to ask you the first few questions, and then I turn over to our brilliant and very engaged audience. So my first question is, do you think it's okay for someone to say they're shy and don't like public speaking?
Such a great question. I think that it's something that can be fostered and created, the not being shy. I think it's certainly okay to acknowledge where you're at. And I know that Netta, our founder at Rise Up For You, spoke up with you a couple weeks ago on emotional intelligence. And we love to do something called reverse engineering, to go back. And I would say, when did you first feel that? Because I don't think we come out of the womb shy. I think that it's created, and then we have a moment. Maybe we're in third grade and we go out for the talent show and it doesn't go well. And we make up in our mind, I don't like public speaking. I am shy and I will never do that again. That was embarrassing. And so we can go back and go, I remember when that happened. And if we realize I made that up, that I'm shy and I don't like it, I could remake it now that I'm an adult. So I think we can move with it. And I think we can also have self-compassion and go, it's okay. I don't like that right now. But how if I have a message, can I move past it, work through it, and have confidence again to stand up and take the stage, whether I'm in a boardroom, whether I'm an entrepreneur that's going live on Facebook or LinkedIn. Taking the stage has so many different avenues right now with this current COVID environment. How do we get onto video, and how can our message be heard?
Oh, Lauren, I think we're both frozen on LinkedIn. Okay, I think we're back. Are we back?
I think we're back. This is like real life, Edwina. This is what happens when you take the stage virtually. We planned this, actually, didn't we?
We wanted to show all the things that could go wrong, and how you just keep smiling and keep going. So to our beautiful audience out there, thank you so much for staying with us. We are talking about how to take the stage despite all sorts of problems and upsets. I have the fabulous Lauren Sweeney with me. Hello, Lauren. And so I'm going to move on to my next question. Please send your questions in. How do we combat the fear of taking the stage? How do we overcome that and do a good job?
Such a great question. So in your previous question, asking about shyness and taking the stage, if we can do that reverse engineering and remember the first time we felt that fear and kind of go into it, like literally ask ourselves about it. And then there's some physical and mental things that we can do. So you've spoken with Netta, our founder, and when she did her TEDx talk, she talks about naturally being nervous and the physicality of things that you can do before you go on stage. So if you could do squats, you could push against a wall, having your physical energy not be stagnant and stale, and because then the nerves kind of collect and get higher. The other thing I love to do, and I literally did this yesterday preparing for us today, because I found myself getting nervous, like, oh, will it go well? And will people like it? And then I thought, this is exactly what we're talking about. I visualized the end where you're saying, thank you, Lauren. Thank you. People gained value. It made an impact. Maybe we're getting messages for people and how they maybe took the stage and shared their message that was important to them. And that gave me this feeling of, we're going to make a difference. The message is going to be heard. It's going to be impactful. And that really helps with the nerves. So whatever it is that you're going to take the stage on, whether it's in a boardroom, whether it's literally on a stage, Whether you're on video in this current COVID environment, a lot of us as business owners are using video just to get our messages. Think about the impact. And it's not about me, because when I'm really nervous, it's about me. How am I going to look? Is she going to think I did a good job? Is the audience going to like it? That's all about me, and that's so normal. But if I make it about you, well, how can I serve you? How can I have voice inflection and warmth so that you feel the message coming through? The nerves naturally at least simmer down because it's about you.
It's a really nice way of framing it. I mean, I remember the first time I stood up, all I could hear was literally the blood rushing around my head. And it was deafening, absolutely deafening. And I thought nothing could ever be that horrible again.
Yeah.
It probably was a couple of times, but then after that, it went away. Okay, so what can you point us to? What are the important elements of public speaking? What are the we must do, we must have kind of things?
There's so many. Let's talk about 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that you know this. We have a little speaker guide. So I even printed it. It's free for our audience, and we'll put the link in the chat. So if you don't quite, pick up all the tips or we miss any, it'll be in our speaker guide. So 3 P's of speaking that really can help: purpose, presence, and presentation. So what is my purpose for speaking? And this helps with our nerves as well. What is the message I want to convey? And this goes for if you're on a big stage or you're leading a boardroom meeting at the office or even on Zoom. What is my purpose? Why am I talking? Why are we having this meeting? Then we look at presence. What is my energy like? What is the energy of the room? You can even do a little power pose. Am I sitting up taller? I think it's easier to speak standing, but in this virtual environment, most of us are sitting. How can I sit up a little bit taller and my shoulders are back? Do I have confidence? Am I wearing bright colors intentionally at Rise Up For You? We do wear colors, or Edwina, you have a beautiful picture in the background. You have a yellow vase. Yellow is part of our Rise Up For You colors too. Intentionally having presence in our appearance and what we look like and our energy, and reading the energy of the room. And then the last one being our presentation. So we have a topic. What am I talking about? What is important? And then that's the what. The so what is, why should you care that I'm talking about it? How does this apply to you? And then now what? What is the action that I want the people listening at this meeting or after I'm done speaking to take from it? So those 3 P's really do make a difference in also bringing warmth to my audience. So if you're watching, you can put your hand on your chest, and you can also put your hand on your diaphragm, on your stomach. If we can speak from here, we can create a vibration. If we go, do we hear it? We feel kind of our chest vibrating. We can hear a vibration here, and it centers us. We can have a more grounded space. Research actually shows that if we speak with fluctuation, it's easier for people to hear us. If we come in and we have intimacy and warmth, if we also have pauses. Also, research shows that if we speak at a very high pitch, it's harder for people to hear us. So if we can bring in warmth, and that's something that we can be trained on with our voice, how we're speaking, and also the more settled we feel and the clearer we are on what we want to talk about.
It's interesting, isn't it? I think when we get nervous, our voices do go higher. And that's something I've seen and heard before. But also, I think especially as we go online, the fact that we're now in an almost exclusive virtual world, we tend to hide a bit behind the presentations. We're all very keen to go, hello, very quickly, and then show our PowerPoint so that we can literally hide behind the screen. What's your thinking about that kind of barrier that we keep putting up when we're talking to people?
Well, I know I do enjoy a PowerPoint, or I like to show my slides if I'm doing a training. I think there's two things. So one is our audience. Some people learn in different ways. Everyone actually learns in a different way. So if you're a visual learner, I think there is a positive impact to having slides. And we don't have slides today because it's more of a casual conversation. And that's also why we have the speaker kit. So a visual learner can go back to it. I hear your point, though, on hiding behind it. And that's where it goes back to having confidence and caring enough to prepare. So what is my message? What is the message I want to convey? And how can I have confidence in it and then use the tools as a tool, not use the tool as a crutch? So if I'm speaking in public, maybe outside the COVID environment, I might have my notes. I love to color code them. I love to have them on a piece of paper, and then I'll use markers. I love color-coded markers because it makes it easier to see. But again, it's bullet points. So it's not a crutch. I'm still confident. I'm still showing up. I'm putting myself together to present for you today. And then I have these tools that can just aid in my message.
Do you think in this virtual world that maybe more of us should stand up when we're talking to other people? Do we speak differently? Do we come across differently when we stand up?
It's a great question. We do speak differently when we're standing. And in this virtual world, I still think it's okay to sit. However, have posture. So if I'm slumping and I'm looking down, you're not going to be able to hear me. You're not going to be able to see me. And my confidence is going to decrease and my energy is going to decrease. And energy is important in the message. Mm-hmm. Also, if I'm like this the whole time, I make no eye contact with you, or if we're on a platform where we have multiple people on the screen, making that eye contact is important. I think it's okay to be sitting, but have presence, have posture. Put yourself together, and it depends on you. So if you feel more comfortable sitting, but you can still have energy and presence, then do that. If when you're standing, you raise up your screen and you have your ring light and you're ready to go in a standing environment, because that gives you more energy, do that. One thing we do at Rise Up For You is we peer evaluate. And so we will watch each other as trainers. How are we speaking? Are we using filler words? And feedback that I got is that when I'm nervous, I speak too fast. I'll laugh out of nervousness. So that's such a good tip to peer speak with each other, especially if you're nervous. And so I found for myself, I didn't need to stand because it gave me too much energy. And so then it was harder for the audience to get the message. For me, sitting made me a little bit more grounded. I could talk slower. I could have more presence with who I'm talking with. So I think it depends on you. Play with both and see what creates the best messaging.
Yeah, and I think it goes with a lot of things that, you and your colleagues have spoken about over the last couple of weeks, that it's about being true and authentic to your own style. And actually, the bravest thing, I think, is actually watching yourself afterwards and thinking, "Ooh, I have a really annoying habit of doing this," or I tend to do it where I put my head on one side, and then I find that I think, why am I doing that? It's really, and you're all going to notice that now and watch and track me as I do it. Now, guys, I have had you to myself. I know we had a bit of a blip, but questions, we need to give people a chance to ask their questions. Lauren, have you caught up? Can we collect some questions? If we're not quite ready, I have another one that I have up my, here we go. Hannah, you're fast off the mark. What do you recommend in terms of practicing a speech? In front of a small audience, film yourself. Can you over rehearse? Great question.
Good question, Hannah. I would say I would do a little variety of both, and it goes back to knowing yourself. So first prepare and go back to what is my topic? So what? Like, why should my audience care? And now what? What is their action step? So after you've planned out what you're going to say, I would film yourself and remember what our founder Netta said on emotional intelligence. Self-compassion is the first step. We're so hard on ourselves. So have compassion. I would film it and I would have you and a couple of friends that love you evaluate you and give you a ton of praise first, and then maybe give you a few tips. Because after all, the more confident we can feel, the better our message will come across. I do think you can over rehearse and just wig yourself out too much. I love to have my notes, as I was sharing earlier, color coded, bulleted, so that you can still feel yourself and you don't have to seem so scripted. So Hannah, I would try it in a variety of ways, you and a couple close friends, then maybe a small audience, and then just go for it. Just try it. And remember, you're doing a great job. You're doing the best you can. You might have a next best you can in the next moment. Hey, you did it. So get people that are watching you to give you a ton of praise the first, second, and third time you do it, because that will give you more confidence to do it again.
A good round of applause always helps, doesn't it, at the end? Yes, yes. Oh, silver lining, lovely. How do you strike a balance between hand gestures and the passion with which you speak? Are there some topics that require more hand gestures?
Great question. Great question, silver lining. I want to remember that when they can see your hands in this virtual environment, our bodies are usually cut off, even if we're standing, from the waist. I've been using my hands on purpose to elicit trust. If you never see my hands, people wonder, what are they doing? And honestly, they're probably fidgeting because they're nervous. I will also put my hands together, and that's a great tip to elicit trust. It also gives your hands a place to go versus like one hand on the hip, like, look how awkward that looks. Or I don't know, that does not look good. So it gives you a place to place them, and it elicits some sort of trust with the audience. Topics that require more hand gestures than others, not necessarily. I want you to feel natural with them, and just remember, have them sort of in front of you. I think that overusing your hands, now you're distracted. You're like, what is she doing? What bracelet is she wearing? Like, that's distracting. So calm, be grounded, have my hands in front, and then use them as a natural outgrowth. Again, to Edwina's question, it's not a crutch. Just as my slides, if I had them today, don't need to be a crutch. They're here. I have notes. They're not a crutch, though. They're here if I need them. Great question.
Laura asks, how do you prepare for a Q&A that's a bit more impromptu?
Great question. Today, Edwina and I prepared some questions, but some of these questions I've never heard before. So Laura, know what you're talking about, prepare as best you can, and then it's okay to pause. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. They care more about you being honest, authentic, and saying, great question. I'll get back to you on that one. Or, same gives you, the speaker, a moment to pause, gather your thoughts. And it goes back to emotional intelligence. Know that you are doing the best you can. Know that whatever question comes in an amazing and unique way. And it doesn't have to be canned. It doesn't have to be, oh my gosh, what if? It speaks to the nerves, and it speaks to, I might say something wrong. It goes back to our thoughts about ourselves. But what if I screw up? What if I don't give the right answer? Is there a right answer? My husband's a math professor, and he would say, there's right answers in math. But depending, Laura, on your subject, If I'm talking at Rise Up For You about people skills, soft skills, last week Mary talked about conflict management, there might not always be a right answer. And so have confidence in yourself. Whatever answer you give will be the perfect one. This speaks, I think, to job interviewing. A lot of our clients ask us questions in this current environment about being nervous about job interviewing, which has to do with taking the stage as well. Have confidence and be authentic.
Great. Joan, when reading the audience's energy engagement level, how can the speaker make adjustments to raise energy? Because that's actually difficult, isn't it?
I think in a virtual environment, even more difficult. Such a great question, Joan. So in a virtual environment, we love to get on our platform a few minutes early, and maybe our video is off and we can watch our audience. Or in an in-person environment, come early, be casual. Maybe if I'm wearing a name badge, I don't put it on yet. Maybe people don't know I'm the speaker. Observe the room. Are they very chatty before they get on? Do they know each other? Are they comfortable? Or do they get on and their videos are off? Or they're sitting like this? That's their body language that says, don't talk to me, or I'm nervous. So Joan, I think it's so important to match your audience. If I was speaking and I could see a lot of faces and they're excited and they're, moving and they use a lot of hand gestures, I might match my energy with theirs. But if they're a quieter group or more reserved, I would match my energy with theirs as well, because I'm just the messenger and it's not about me. So, however, I do want to raise the energy up if they seem bored, falling asleep, I want to make them feel safe above anything. And so it's such a good question. How do I adjust? If I feel prepared, if I know what I'm talking about, and I have kind of worked through or at least done the best job I can on my own confidence, then it's about them. So Joan, how can I be with my audience? What does my audience need to feel comfortable right now? What do they need to feel engaged? What platform am I using? And let's say we're using Zoom. Do I use a breakout room so that people can get re-energized? Do they need a break? If we're in person, do they need to stand up? Do they need a snack? Do I have coffee? It goes back to kind of those basic needs. Can my audience feel comfortable to be able to engage?
Nice ideas there. Ooh, Maria, how do you react when you don't know the answer or something happened that disrupted your speech, just like us?
Great question, Maria. You pivot. I think we're all incredible, amazing people pivoting in this environment. How do you react when you don't know the answer? So you might pause. Great question. And you might even ask for the audience to give an answer, depending upon who it is. If it's a smaller audience, I love that question. What do you think? It gets into a little bit more coaching. Or you may say, I'll get back to you. Or you just do your best. If you get interrupted, so Edwina and I got interrupted today just by technology. You may get interrupted by something in the audience or someone or your Wi-Fi. You pivot and you maybe laugh a moment, take a sip of coffee, and you just carry on. And you be relatable. You could acknowledge, oh my goodness, thank you for giving me grace. My internet went out. I'm back. I'm so glad to be with you. I love, love, love. One of my mentors gave me this line, Grace. She said, I have an opportunity. We're having an opportunity with our technology. Or in person, you can say, I'm having an opportunity. We had an opportunity with the hotel or wherever you're speaking, or we had an opportunity, let's say the weather is going crazy, or there's a fire drill. This happened. Netta, our founder, and I were training the other day and the fire alarm went off in our environment. We're having an opportunity with some outside noise. Let's pause a moment. We'll take a quick break and we'll come back. So you're acknowledging it, but you're being positive so that your audience feels safe. They don't want to know that you're all super, flabbergasted and thrown off by the interruption.
Now, I saw a question pop up as you were answering that, but it's disappeared again. So, here we go. What tips do you have for a meeting moderator to engage speakers in a virtual environment? And that's from Lorianne.
Great question.
It may be our last, by the way. It may be our last.
Okay. Such a good question. And Rita could probably address this because you do this so masterfully and beautifully. Engaging the speakers, so helping them prepare, and then being with them. Remember, it's not about me. So Lorianne, if you're the moderator, it's about them. How can I make them feel comfortable? How can, you're not physically maybe with them. So how can you make them feel at ease? Do we need to do a virtual test run? What platform are we using? Do they feel comfortable with that platform? And you at the Female Leads do that so masterfully for us that are speaking with you. How can I make them feel as comfortable as possible? Because if they're comfortable, they'll engage more. And how prepared are the questions so that then we can go off script and we can flow? And then, Lorianne, you just do the best you can. And if try A doesn't go well, maybe you do a B, C, D, and E take, and you just pivot. You just keep like literally a ballerina doing pivots on a stage. You just pivot and pivot and pivot again.
I really love the idea of taking the stage with the female lead, because of course the female lead is evocative of the stage, isn't it? And it seems so fundamental, because in describing ourselves, putting what we stand for in front of other people, it is about having the courage to be out there and do the very best we can. So thank you, Lauren, for helping us think about that. Thank you for sharing what has been a lot of studying, preparing, sharing with us. And thank you for making those materials that we will put online for everybody out there if they want to download them. So it's an incredibly generous move on your part. And it's the workbook, and you can find it on the Rise Up For You event page. Is that right? So look at Rise Up For You, look at the event page, and there it is. So I hope, if not tonight, then when you download those, you get some hints and tips that really help move you forward. To wind up, and I know we could have gone on for much longer, but to wind up, I just want to mention that our next LinkedIn Live happens really, really fast. It's on Tuesday next week, same time, same channel. It's with Sonia Barlow, and it's all about how to create an inclusive culture. So do try and join us then. Until then, I want to say thank you so much to our wonderful audience, and very importantly to the brilliant, beautiful Lauren Sweeney from Rise Up For You. Thank you very, very much.
It's absolutely my pleasure. And thank you to all of our amazing audience for watching today. And I hope you take the stage in whatever environment is right for you so your message can be heard. And Edwina, and to your staff, thank you for having us today.